I will show you how to create a Tools panel UI complete with a theme and how to style the different controls. The Tools panel will allow the player to select different tools such as the axe to chop trees, the tilling tool to till farmland, and the watering can to water crops. You can then advance on the Tools panel UI and add your own tools. In the Scenes folder, create a new folder and call this UI. Then go to Scene, New Scene, click User Interface, and then just F2 and call this Tools Panel. And let's save the scene into our new UI folder. Then go to the Assets folder and create a new folder in here and call this UI. Now we will download the assets which we will require to create our Tools Panel UI. Before we get started, we need to download the Sproutlands UI expansion pack, which can be found on itch.io by cupnooble. I will leave the link in the description below. So just click download now and then unzip the file to get the UI assets. Once you have downloaded and unzipped the Sproutlands UI pack, just go into the pack and under Sprite Sheets, just drag the Sprite Sheet for Basic pack into the Assets and UI folder. Then in the Mouse Sprites folder, copy triangle mouse icon 1 and drag that into the UI folder. And in the Dialog UI folder under Emotes folder, just copy the Tmore Basic Emote Animation Sprite Sheet. So we've just copied 3 sprite sheets over into our Assets in UI folder. Now that we have these 3 sprite sheets in our game, let's just format the names so that they are better for our project structure. So F2 the first one and call this Basic UI Sprites. For the next one we'll just call it Emotes. And for the third one we'll just call this Mouse underscore icon. Now click on the Tools panel control, scroll down until we get to Theme. So click on New Theme, right click and Save As. And in the Scenes UI folder, let's call this Game underscore UI underscore theme and just save that. Then click on the theme resource and it will load the theme panel. So now click this plus button here and usually you would choose your control, which is a default control, and then style it. However, I'm going to show you how to create different styles for the same type of control. So we may have many buttons which will have different styles. And this is the same case for the panels. So in other software frameworks, these are known as style classes or style resources. So first of all, in here, we'll type dark wood panel and then just click add type. And as you can see, there's no control for this. So click this last option here and in the base type, add and search for panel container. Select that option and then just set that as the base type. So what we are creating here is a dark wood panel style class which is applied to the type of panel container. Then back in the Tools panel, there is an option called Type Variation. Just click Edit here and type dark wood panel and just click the tick. So this will apply this style class to the Tools panel. And here, this is where we can have different styles for the same type of control and then just apply that type variation to it. So click back on the Tools panel node, right click and then change the type and search for panel container. So just change that type and make sure that it matches the type in our theme. So let's now style the panel. Click this button here to style it and then click empty and then new style box texture and then click the style box texture to load it in the inspector. For texture, click empty again and then choose new atlas texture and open that. And for the atlas property, bring over the basic UI sprites and then click edit region. And then for snap mode, click auto slice and zoom in and choose this sprite here. Click close. Then just close that option and scroll down and you'll see an option called sub-region. Choose edit region and then from snap mode choose pixel snap. And then with these black and white bars, just start to bring this in for the frame and you can see it will start to modify the panel in the scene. So bring that down to here, and then we'll do it from the right hand side and then also from the bottom. So bring the bars in so that we frame this section here and then click close. And as you can see, we now have our panel styled. So just to quickly recap on the style box texture, choose Atlas texture, and when you open the resource, you have an edit region inside of the Atlas texture resource. That will help you first pick the actual sprite, then collapse the resource, and to do the sub-region is the edit region here. Now to add the tool buttons, let's go to Tools panel, add child node, and search for margin container. This will help just put a margin around the buttons. Then add child node again, search for HBox container, create that. This will lay out the buttons horizontally. And then for the first button, add child node and search for button and just create that. Then click on button, press F2, and then let's rename this to Tool X. Then scroll down to custom minimum size and just set the X and Y to 26. So this will just change the size of the button. Then click on Tools panel, and for the anchor preset, choose top left. Let's just zoom in on this. And as you can see, our button now is just fitting inside of the panel. So now let's modify the style for margin container. And because we have the theme assigned to our theme property at the root node, we don't have to assign theme to every single child node. So click on Tools panel to access the theme, and then in the theme, click the plus button here again and search for margin container, and we're going to apply it to all the margin containers without using a style class. So this is the default style. So click Add Type, then choose this option here, click plus, and then write 10, plus again, and then 10 again, and then 10 for the last option. And now we can style the button. So with the game UI theme open, click the plus button here, and then write Tool button, and then click Add Type. Click this option here at the end, and then the plus button, and then search for button, and then add that as the base type. Then click on Tool X button, and we'll scroll down, and under theme, for the type variation, click the edit icon here, and then write Tool button for the style type, and then just click the tick box. Let's just go back to theme by clicking on the Tools panel, and then click this option here to add the style boxes. So for normal, click the plus button here, and then click on empty, and then choose new style box texture. Click on the resource, and for the texture, click the empty option and choose new Atlas texture. Open up the Atlas texture resource, and then drag the basic UI sprite into the Atlas property. Then we can choose edit region and choose auto slice, and then zoom in here. And we want to choose these buttons here, but we'll choose this one for normal. So zoom in, and then click close. Just close the Atlas texture resource, and then scroll down to sub-region. Click edit region, and then choose pixel snap, and then just start to bring in the bars so that we frame the button. And once we've got this frame here so that we can frame the outside of the button edges, then we'll have this content in the middle. So just click close here once you've finished. Now for the next style, right click, choose copy to copy the normal style. Let's scroll up until we find hover. Click the plus button, then right click on empty, and then choose paste. But then right click again and say make unique recursive. Then what we need to do is to make all of these styles unique, otherwise they are shared, which means when we modify it in one place, it will then modify it in the other place. So make these resources unique, click OK, and then click the style box texture again. And as you can see, it's already pre-configured. However, because we've made it unique, the texture resource here is also unique. So let's now just click the Atlas texture here, and let's click edit region again, zoom out and choose auto slice, but then pick this option here for the hover style. So close that, and then just close the resource, and then click edit subregion. And as you can see, the subregion is already created for us. So it saves us from having to create subregions again. So just click close there. Now let's test the scene to just see the effect of those two styles. So just run the current scene and then just hover over the button so we can see the style is starting to change. So I'm now going to just head back over to the theme, and then I'm going to copy the style from the hover option and then scroll down until you see press. Click the plus button and right click and choose paste. Then right click again and choose make unique. Then say OK. Then open up the press style. Then for the texture, open up the atlas texture and then choose edit region. Then zoom out, and with auto size selected still, let's choose this lighter coloured option and then choose close and then just save all scenes. Then we should just be able to run this scene again. So hover, and then when you click the mouse, you can see that it's highlighting, but we now have a bar around it. So this is the focus style. So let's just stop that. So click back on theme, then copy the press style, scroll to focus, just create a new style and right click and paste that style. Then right click again and make unique and click OK. Then let's run the test scene again. So we've got hover, pressed and focused. As you can see, once it's been pressed, it has focus and it keeps that pressed look. Let's close that scene again. So go back to Tools panel and then open the theme again. Let's just copy the focus style. And then for disabled, click a new style, right click, choose paste, then right click, make unique recursive and click OK. Then choose the disabled style and open up the atlas resource, choose edit region, and for the disabled button, choose this last option, which is the grey coloured option, and then click close. And to test the disabled style for our button, choose the Tool Axe button, and then in filter properties, write disabled, and then for this option, just temporarily switch it on. And as you can see, the disabled style is applied, so we can just revert that, and that just tests the disabled style box texture for us. Now we're ready to apply an icon to the button. So click on Tool Axe button, and in icon, for the texture, choose new atlas texture, and then just open that. Then go to Assets, Game Folder and Objects, and then drag on basic tools and materials to the atlas. Then choose Edit Region, and this time choose Grid Snap, and then just drag the grid over the axe tool and then just click close. And this completes the axe button. So right click and duplicate the axe button, then F2, and we'll call this Tool Tilling. And now we've duplicated the button, but what we do need is a new icon. So right click on the icon atlas texture and then say make unique recursive, click OK, then open the resource, go back to edit region, and this time drag the grid over the tilling tool and then click close. So I'm going to modify the margin container that's around these buttons. Now if I look at the style, I have the default style set to 10, so I'm actually going to leave that as it is. What I'd like to do is override this on just this control here. So I'm just going to click margin container and then scroll down, go to theme overrides, and we can override the margin values here. So let's turn these all on and then set a value of 4 for each of the options. And as you can see, that margin is much better. Now let's add the next tool. So right click Tool Tilling, duplicate it, F2 to rename and call this watering can. Right click the icon resource and say make unique recursive. Open the resource, edit region, and then choose the watering can option. Right click the tool watering can button and then duplicate that again. F2 and call this tool corn. But for the icon, let's just create a new atlas texture. Open that, and in the assets game objects folder, bring over the basic plants and just put that into the atlas. Then click edit region, use grid snap for the snap mode, and then choose this seed bag here. close, then duplicate the tool coin button again, F2, and call this tool tomato. Then right click the resource for the icon and we can just make this unique and recursive. Open that, edit region, and then just choose the tomato seeds and click close here, and then we can save all the scenes. And as you can see, the icons, some of them are just off center. So starting at the top with tool X, scroll down until you get icon behavior, and for icon alignment, choose center for each of the tool buttons. Then finally, for the tomato icon, I'll just choose center for that too. So now that we've created the Tools panel UI, let's create a game screen which will overlay the game. So go back to our UI folder, let's go Scene, New Scene, and choose Other Node, and search for Canvas Layer, and create that. And rename this and call it Game Screen. Then save the scene, and go to Scenes folder, UI, and save it as the game screen. Then drag the Tools panel into the game screen. Then click on Game Screen and add a child node and search for margin container. Then nest the Tools panel inside of the margin container. Then click on Margin Container and scroll down. And for the theme, just click and choose Quick Load and then select Game UI Theme. And as you can see, it's automatically added that 10 pixel margin from our theme. So that's correct. Then for the anchor preset, choose Full Rect. And now let's position the Tools panel inside of the margin container. So click on Tools panel and choose Shrink Center and then Vertical Alignment, Shrink End. And that will position the tools in the bottom of our game screen. Our next step is to create a test UI. So we'll go to Scenes and Test, and let's just create another test scene, which we'll then overlay the game screen onto, and we can start to test the UI. So I'll click on Test Scene Player, and then just duplicate this test scene, and we'll call this test scene Game Screen UI, and just duplicate that. Let's open the test scene Game Screen UI, then go to Scenes and UI folder, and then just drag the game screen onto our test scene. And as you can see, the tools are now overlaid onto our game. So now that our game screen is ready, let's go to Tools panel and let's connect the buttons up so that we can use the axe tool for the player, then the player can use the tilling tool, watering, and then plant the seeds. So in Tools panel, right click Tools panel and then attach a script. And we'll save our script in the Scenes UI folder. So click Create here. Then click and highlight all of the tool buttons and holding Control, click and drag them into our script. This will then create us 5 onReady variables. So we'll have the Tool Axe button, Tool Tilling button, the Watering Can, Corn and Tomato button as well. And now let's link up the pressed events from each of the buttons. So click on Tool Axe, go to Node, and then click Press, click Connect, and then click Connect here, and it will add as a signal connection to the pressed action. So when the player presses the Tool Axe button, we want to then set that tool on our player. And to do this, we'll need a global script. So go to the Scripts folder, and in Globals, let's right click and create a new script. Call this Tool Manager, and then click Create, and open the Tool Manager script. Then head over to Project Settings, and in Globals, click the Open folder and open the Tool Manager, and then click Add. Leave this as enabled, and then just click Close. So now that we've added the Tool Manager as a global script, this will act as a singleton which will appear for our game scenes, and then we can access this from anywhere. Let's just start to add some parameters. So we'll say var selected tool, which is a type datatypes.tool, and then we'll assign it the non-variable as a default. Then let's create a signal, and we'll call this tool selected, and we'll pass in the data types tools. So in a previous tutorial, I've shown you how to create this enum type, and we've created some values in our enum, which is none, then it's for axing the wood, tilling the ground, watering crops, planting corn and planting tomatoes. Then back on our tool manager script, let's create another function and we'll just call this select tool. We'll pass in the tool and we'll return void. And then what we need to do is just call the signal and emit the selected tool, and then just set selected tool to be the tool which is passed into the select tool function. So now our tools manager script is complete. Let's just head over to tools panel script. Then let's get hold of the tool manager, then choose the select tool function. Then from our enum, we can just say tools and then pass in the axe wood parameter. So when we select this tool, let's now assign that tool to the player. Let's just go to our characters folder under scenes, go to the player folder and open the player scene. Open the player script, and as you can see, we have a current tool which uses the data types enum. Let's override the ready function and then say tool manager dot tool selected. So this is the signal, and then connect our signal and then just say on tool selected. Then let's create that function. So we can just copy this and then just say tool data types dot tools and then return void. Then set current tool, the tool that is being passed into our method. And then let's also set the current tool on our hit component. So click the hit component, hold Control down and drag that into the script. Then copy hit component and just say hit component dot current tool equals tool. Then on the hit component, let's just reset our current tool so that it's always none to begin with. Let's go back to tools panel, and in the script, let's just connect the tool tilling. To go to node, press, click connect, and then click connect here. Let's copy our code from the previous tool axe press method and just paste that here. And then for tools.axewood, change that to be till ground. And go back to player, choose the player node, and then just reset the current tool here also to be none. Now before we test the scene, let's just print a debug statement. So we'll say tool and then pass the tool value in. So we'll get an integer for the tool. So for our axe, it'll be number 1, and for till ground, it'll be number 2. Now let's head over to our test scene game UI, and then let's just run that scene. Let's just face right and then click the axe tool. And then when we click it, the axe animation is present. And then let's just check the output. So this is tool 1. Let's just choose the next tool. So it's now switched to tool 2. And let's just click, and we can see that we have the tilling animation. So we've now successfully linked up these two buttons. I'm now just going to clean up that debug script from here. And then back on the tools panel, I'm just going to link up the other buttons here. So now I've completed adding the other pressed signals and then updated the tool manager select tool to pass in the correct data type tool. So now that we've added all of the extra pressed events, let's go to the test scene and let's just run this again. Let's choose the axe. That's the axe animation, tilling. Now there's no way to unselect the tool, so let's just pop in some code which will allow us to deselect the tool so we go back to the non-state. Go ahead to tools panel and then the tools panel script. Then let's override the unhandled input event. So if event is input event mouse button, if event dot button index equals mouse button right, then we want to get the tool manager and then select tool and pass in data types and the non tool. Then get each of these variables for the buttons and release focus. This will allow us to release the button focus when we've clicked the right mouse button. So let's just add a breakpoint here and then let's run the test scene, choose the axe tool and then click the left mouse button to perform the action, and then we want to release the tool. So just click the right mouse button, and that is now hitting the breakpoint, which will then choose the non-tool and release focus. So press F12, let's close the window, let's remove the breakpoint and test the scene again. So we can choose the axe tool, watering cam, and then right click and it releases. Let's choose the tilling tool, and we can now till, the axe tool, and then release. So that brings us to the end of this tutorial on how to create a toolbar with many different tools in it. In the future tutorial, I will show you how to till the land, then plant corn and tomatoes, and then water those crops so that they begin to grow. If you like what you've seen in this tutorial, please remember to hit like and subscribe so you receive future updates of my other tutorials. Thank you for watching.